Hi, folks. Steve Urban here, founder and CEO at Riderflex. We hope you enjoy today's podcast. And as a reminder, please subscribe to the Riderflex show for updates on new episodes. And by the way, if you haven't already, check out the book we recently launched, The Riderflex Guide, Inspiring and Hiring, available for purchase on Amazon. And now, a quick word from our sponsor.
Try the #1 marketing platform for small business. Everything you need from design to marketing to CRM. Learn more at marketing360.com. Marketing 360. Fuel your brand.
So you're a mountain biker, huh?
I am. My wife and I both. I got her into it last year.
Okay. Now, I'm going to confess, I know that traditionalists like yourself hate this. I bought one of those e-bike mountain bikes.
Tell me more.
I love it. I mean, I love it.
Good.
I absolutely love it. I'll be 56 this summer, so I'm probably quite a bit older than you, and you look like you're in pretty good shape. So and I'm always on the forest roads that are like this with rocks, and
Yeah.
so man, that battery juice kind of comes in handy
Does
for
it
me.
go out? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what. When I am a purist, I am not an e-biker. I used to be, the guy that's totally against the e-bikers. Oh, you're a cheater, and all that. But then after I calmed down, and started talking to him, I'm like, you know what? Kudos to you. And that's okay, because and it's just like in anything that we have in life, in business, there are tools. And you use the tools, right? That tool is getting you outside. It's getting you up the mountain. It's getting you out.
That's right.
So love it.
Yep.
Now my wife, I bought her a bike, not an e-bike, regular mountain bike last year when we got married a couple of years ago. And then, I said, honey, I grew up mountain biking. Northeast Tennessee, Appalachian Mountains, Tri-Cities. I grew up in the mountains. Love it. Hiking, mountain biking, everything, camping.
Cool.
So when we started dating and talking about married and everything, I said, let's go mountain biking. She's like, oh, yeah, I'll take my little puffy 35-year-old bike. You're going to hate it. Took her to the bike shop, bought her a new one, and she loves it. Now, we both love soccer. She's been through some injuries. She's been through some surgery. She's retired from soccer. But that's also affected her with, not being able to keep up with, bald guy like me, right? Like us. Yeah. So she's a little bit slower, and she's okay to admit it. And she's okay with me telling this. So when she sees someone like you on an e-bike passing up, cheater, let me borrow that. And we've all heard it.
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah, I've gotten a couple of looks here and there, but once you get to be my age, you're kind of like, whatever.
Hey, you're out there.
You pegged it. Would I be in the mountains doing camping and hiking and riding in my Jeep? Yeah. But would I be on a trail with a bike without it? No.
Right.
And so it does put me where I wouldn't be, and
it's a tool. It's a great tool.
Tell me about a little early life there. Mom, dad, siblings?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm the youngest of 7, his, hers, and theirs. Mom and dad were both married before they married each other. Dad was born in 30. Mom was born in 44. So you see a little bit of an age gap there, right? It's okay.
Yeah.
So I've got, from my dad's first marriage, I have a sister and 2 brothers. From my mom's first marriage, I have 2 sisters. And then from them together, I have a sister and me.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Yeah, there we go.
Your dad born in 30s. Is he still with us or no?
No, Dad died in 2019. So, and love him to pieces. He is my hero, my best friend. I mean, he was and still is everything to me.
What your folks do? What'd your dad do?
So Dad had a lot of fun stuff going on. He grew up being an officer. Well, let me back up a little bit. He was in the Navy. Okay. And then when he got back, he was a police officer, and then he retired. Well, sorry, he was in banking, and then he became a police officer, and then he retired, and he went back to work and did, kind of some maintenance and stuff. And so Dad and I, when I was young, when I was 12, I did my own lawn care business, and Dad helped me quite a bit with that, and that was a lot of fun. We actually had some pretty decent clientele with that. Right. So Dad was involved in a few things. He was the one that really got me inspired to doing, business, real estate investing, saving, you know, being loyal to companies. You know, my dad grew up in the Depression.
Yes.
So between being an officer, an accountant, you know, banker, accountant, and just a good old Southern boy. Dad was born and raised in Florida. He was my hero. He loved the outdoors too, and worked his tail off, you know. And so he was home most of the time, but there is a lot of times where he was gone, you know, out working a couple of different jobs and things. Mom was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
She was a writer. Is a writer. She loves writing. Oh my gosh, to this day, she'll send me emails. And it's like, Mom, you can say that in one sentence, not, you know, 16 paragraphs.
Really?
She's a writer.
Wow. How about that? Okay.
She's a writer. Yep. And she's I mean, I tell you what, the way that she raised us kids, she is a Southern belle. Love her to pieces. And we are complete opposites. And so we drive each other crazy.
Your dad, yeah, born in 30. Boy, those guys, that's a different breed, man. They grew up, yeah, totally. Yeah. Anybody born in the late 20s through late 30s, different. I mean, just a different character. You know, they've seen so many things. You know, they didn't throw stuff away. They didn't just run down to Walmart and buy a new. Yeah, no.
Mom still won't. Oh my gosh.
Yes. So, you were good with business and numbers early on, then, huh? Was that your thing?
That was. I've always loved numbers. Even in junior high, we moved around a lot when I was a kid. You know, because Dad was an officer and Mom thought everybody was after us, and so we moved every year. And this is something that I have not forgotten. See, we moved every single year. I remember switching schools, either right before, in the middle of school, up until junior high. Sixth grade was the first school that I went through the entire year without moving. And I stayed in the same junior high from sixth to ninth grade, or sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, and then stayed in the same high school. Although we moved a little bit then, we still stayed. So when I went into junior high, I entered, you know, in sixth grade, halfway through it. I remember in class, and I turned a test in, like was the first one to turn in a test in math class. And people were like, oh my gosh, he turned it in before Whitney. Holy smokes, I bet he got them all wrong. And then I like got them all right. And they're like, whoa, who's this freak nerd kid?
Yeah, well, now everybody wants to be your friend. Now Bruno wants to be your friend.
I know, right? I love numbers. And that's not to saying I'm great, I'm perfect. I'm curious and I love digging into them. And so that's why, you know, and I'm sure we'll dig into business and stuff later, but that's why I love doing mergers and acquisitions, quality of earnings, financial due diligence, because I love digging in. Why does this do this? You know, it's part of financial forecasting and things like that too. Turning levers, turning knobs, seeing what happens when you do different things.
So were you a good kid then, like straight A student, you know? Nope. No, were you a rebel? Like what kind of teenager were you?
I was crazy. Drove my sister nuts. My sister, and I'm talking about my whole sister, that's a year and a half older than me, 4.0, valedictorian, straight A student, studied hours a day. Me, complete opposite. Played soccer, was in the band, on the, you know,
But you were in the band.
I was in band. Music paid for school, paid for college. I was on French horn, trumpet scholarship.
Oh, all right.
So
cool.
That's other fun stuff. But I never studied, never turned in my homework, hated it, didn't do it, and I still graduated with a 3.25 in high school. Pissed my sister off. How come he always gets B's and A's and never studies? And I study my tail off and I get straight A's. I'm like, I don't like studying.
Okay, so you got a scholarship for music to go to East Tennessee?
Got a scholarship for music. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, wow. All right. Very cool.
That was fun.
All right. Did you play? Did you play in the band all the way through school?
I did, through college. I played all the way through up until my last semester.
Pretty cool.
Because since I was in scholarship, I had to be in so many certain bands, right? But my last semester, in order to finish my degree, one of my music classes interfered with one of my classes that I needed to graduate. So I dropped my scholarship, paid for school, finished. I had a job with Citigroup at that time who reimbursed me 80% of what I paid. So I went through all of college and paid like a few $100, all of my bachelor's.
Wow.
And I'm back in school now. I'll get my MBA, paying 100% for it.
Oh, so you're still finishing up your MBA then. I see that now. Okay. Okay. What made you do that? What made you go back for the MBA?
So there's a lot of things. First, it's what I always wanted to do. Even when I was getting my bachelor's, I said I want to get my MBA, and that's why my major is in Spanish, foreign language Spanish. My minor's in business because I wanted to differentiate myself. I didn't want to major in business and then go on and get another business degree. That's what a lot of people did back then.
Okay.
And so I wanted to always get my MBA. Well, 20 years later, I'm finally getting it. Why? I'm well established in my career and everything. There's 3 reasons, Steve. The first one is because I love learning. I love asking questions. I love digging in. I love education. It's a huge, huge deal. I'm a big advocate for it.
Okay.
Number 2, I love connection. I love connecting with people, learning about them, what makes them tick, personal, business, everything. And that's why I'm doing an in-person program in Orem at the Utah Valley University. Go Wolverines, right? And so when you couple those 2 together, learning and getting to know others, and you put them and basically circle them with a degree in business, then that's where that 3rd one comes in. I get to help them and learn from them, and we get to help each other and bounce off of each other ideas that we know about each other and create businesses and help businesses. So I can grow my firm and help them grow their businesses while we're all just having a blast together because we get along, because we know each other.
That's great. Hey, those are 3 great reasons. And by the way, I'm sure you know this, most accounting and finance professionals don't have the EQ and people skills that you do. I'm sure you know that.
I've been told I am not the typical accountant.
Seriously, if I met you at a barbecue or something, I would just assume you were in sales right away because of your people skills.
I have had so many people tell me that I would do good in sales. I went through years and years and years of saying, no way, not me, hate sales, don't want to do it. Until a friend of mine 3 years ago, we got off of a call together, and he calls me just by himself and says, Patrick, you'd be good in sales. I'm like, don't give me that crap. I don't want to hear it. He's like, well, hold on a second. He's like, you're thinking about sales, used car sales. And we've all heard this, right?
Yeah, right.
But he's thinking, Patrick, think of it, not sales, but relationships. He's like, you're great with relationships. So that really got me to thinking about it. And that's why I am who I am and do what I do. Because I am the guy working on the quality of earnings and everything too, but I'm also the guy that's bringing in a lot of business and helps, connect. Heck, I made a 3-way connection for people today because they're all in the same industry, serving different things. I'm like, you guys got to talk.
Man,
I love doing that. I love networking individuals together.
That makes you super valuable. I mean, even more valuable than just a good solid CFO. Before I started recruiting from Riderflex, I ran a couple of $40 million wholesale retail companies. And so I had CFOs that worked for me. If I had a CFO that could deliver great reporting and numbers and good cash flow and networked to bring in business, hey, I'd sign up that CFO all day long. Okay.
So a friend of mine says, hey, I've got a group of companies. I need some accounting help. Are you in? Yeah, let me go chat with who you got. Yeah. And so went in and chatted with, at that time was his controller, and we hit it off super well. The conglomerate of companies that we were growing, we needed to bifurcate them and say, okay, there's going to be 2 different divisions. So he became the corporate controller of this division. I became the corporate controller of that division. And then we started just growing both of them. And then, so we were both reporting to the owners. And so we both separated and did CFO services for all of them. And so he was the kind of CFO for this side with the owners. I was the CFO for this side for these owners. And we were all just pinging back and forth, handling all the CFO levels and everything. So that's when I said, I'm actually a CFO now. So I started out with that. And then, put in my resignation after doing that for a bit. We hired someone to replace me. And I went and did that full time. So I was independent for several years, just doing controller CFO level services.
Wow. Okay. That was a bold move right there, because you were probably making pretty good.
Huge.
Yeah. I mean, were you married or kids at the time? Any family or anything?
I was. And it was rough. Did it? So I know that this podcast, Steve, is about, relationships and things. So I'm going to become vulnerable here for a second.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said I got married a couple of years ago. Well,
Mm.
I've been married before. So Erin is not my first marriage. She's actually not even my second. She's my third marriage.
Oof.
I messed up. I messed up two marriages
Oof.
by just stupid stuff, business, everything. I mean, I did not know who I was. I thought I did, but I did some, I really hurt a lot of people, working myself to death and some other stuff. And so I had to go through and learn some things, man. So yeah, was
Um,
I married then? I was, not to her anymore.
yeah, right. Because you came home and said, "Hey, by the way, I quit my job. I'm going to be fractional." And you said,
And then I worked from home, and she didn't know when I was home or when I was home or home, because I'm home, but I'm working. And and you can't blame her. There was no delineation at all there.
but you had the entrepreneurial spirit early, and it kind of followed you a little bit. So was
Still
that?
does.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
that bug was kind of there, right? It was just always there. Like, I want to do my own thing. And you figured, man, I can do this fractional stuff and make just as much money, even though it's risky.
Right.
It's totally risky. Was that the first in 2012? Then I think is when you were kind of the CFO for those two companies with your friend, and then you quit that to do fractional. Was that
Right.
was that the second marriage or first that ended right there?
That was the second marriage when I did
What
that.
happened? What happened on the first one, if you don't mind me asking? Was that like
No,
18
not
when
at
you were
all.
18 years old? Did you married for 1 year?
So,
What was the deal there?
oh, valid question. So when I was 19, I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, was gone for 2 years, came back when I was 21, got married, stayed married for 6.5 years, had my son. So I have a son who's 19 now from the
Okay.
first marriage.
Okay.
The reason why that didn't work out is both of us just through some time just learned that we did not understand who each other was, and neither one of us really wanted to put the time in to figure it out. Now, and
Okay.
I've given you the TLDR, as my wife says, the too long didn't read. So yeah,
Div
we parted
yeah,
ways.
so 6 years, and then so your son was you had a little one then still right in there. Your son he dealt with that. Did he
Yep.
did he did he stay with you, or did he stay with mom, or was it a mix?
He,
How did you split it up?
it was 50-50 split. We had 50-50 custody, and that worked out for a while.
Okay.
And then I left for a while longer, and she had full custody of him. And then a couple of years ago, we're back in each other's lives now.
Oh, so
So
there was a gap there where you and your son didn't have a relationship.
there was, yeah,
Ooh. And how old is he now?
definitely.
19.
He's 19.
So when he was 17, you guys kind of started to reconcile. Roughly.
No, it was actually right after he had turned 18. He reached out to me. Actually, he had his mom reach out to me and said, "Hey, Aiden wants to be back in your life. How do you feel about this?" And I said, "I am all open. Please. I am a different person now. I'd love to. Please."
Wow, that's okay.
So
Hey, good. Does he live close to you?
yeah, he's about an hour away as far as where his parents live. And then he's going down to school at Southern Utah University. So a few hours down.
Okay.
But
Well,
he's
hey,
he's come by a few times. We've had dinner several times, and he actually just texted me a little bit ago. I haven't read it yet, but yeah.
very good. Okay, well, good for you. I'm so glad you reconciled. We've had that situation very similar with one of our children where there was an 8-year gap, and it was good to reconcile, and I'm glad that that's over. It was painful, and
Yeah.
not better that we're talking.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's 100% me. It was my fault. Just like I said, stupid decisions. No, another podcast for another day.
Okay, but then you got married again the second time. Did you have any kids from the
Yep.
second marriage?
Yes, I actually do. I have a daughter. She was 6 months old and that's when I left everything, is when she was 6 months old. So I do not have any contact with her. She's 9 now.
When you say left everything, I want to make sure we share, because all the listeners can relate. A lot of people come on the podcast and we all want to talk about business and all this, and that's great. But we're all human beings, and everybody that is on the show we all have scars, right? I mean, you take off anybody's shirt and you look on their back, hey, there's scars there. Everybody's got them somewhere in there, right? And we all did dumb shit, and I still do dumb shit, but
oh yeah, we all still do. I do.
I get better at 56. Especially about relationships and women in general, and my spouse. Like, I've gotten so much better because this is my second marriage too. I've gotten so much more patient than I used to.
You're familiar with it.
Whoa, way more patient, bro. I'm not even close to the same person I was with my first marriage. I don't think. I'm not even. No. I was an asshole and selfish and narcissistic and all the rest of it.
Oh yeah, I can relate 100%.
Now, when my wife says something, I'm just like, yes, dear.
There you go.
Whatever you want, honey.
Yeah,
you want the couch? Oh, you want the couch on that side of the living room? No problem.
Right.
I think it looks great there.
My wife and I, Aaron, I tell you what, Steve, she is a sweetheart. Like I said, she's my third, but I'm her first. And we're the same age. She's a year younger than me. She took a huge chance. I mean, she had to go through her hell for a while too, where she had to go and figure out herself, depression and things like that. So, yeah, none of us are perfect. None of us are, and as much as we try to be, even now, we like you said, we still do stupid stuff. We all still fall short. Sure. And so now, I tell you what, man, between who we are today, it's amazing the relationship that we have is a million times better than I ever would have even imagined. I mean, we were talking, I think it was last night, just about how united, we feel. We truly do.
That's cool.
That's a huge blessing.
When you first met her, though, like the first date, she's like, "So, you ever been married?" "Yeah, I've been married." Well, and then you're like, "Well, I've been married. I've been married twice, and oh, by the way, I have 2 kids, 1 kid from each of those marriages."
Oh yeah, I came all out the gate, guns a-blazing. No way.
She's like this. She's like, "Oh man, look what time it is. I gotta go."
Right? She's like, "Mom, oh yeah, I'm okay. Oh wait, you need me home? Okay,
yeah, I gotta go."
You nailed it. I was so scared because like I said, I put myself in timeout essentially. Is when I was gone for a bit, and so when I came back and said, okay, now I've learned who I am. Now I know I'm going to kind of ease myself back into relationships and things like that. So I started dating, and I did everything wrong, dude. I started out everything like that before, and it scares them off. So sure. When Aaron and I just met, we met online. And then, and she asked me out first. I loved it. And I still won't let her forget that. And she loves that. She said, "Hey, you up for a low key chat?" is what she called it,
Okay.
She's like, sure. we can't do anything online. Let's call each other. You up for a low key chat, essentially.
Why not?
So I'm like, hey, she asked me out first. She kissed me first too, by the way. That was a long time later. But anyway, no, so I didn't lead on to anything like that. The only thing I said was I'd been through some stuff and made some changes in my life, and I'm different now through who I am. Maybe I'll let you know that as we get to know each other.
Basically what you said was, "Hey, you see this curtain behind me? Like, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff behind there, but I'm not going to tell you what it is right now."
There's a peek. Okay, that's it. That's all you get. But no, there was another date that we had, one of our first physical dates, because I say physical because our first online was just a chat one, right? Or not chat, but phone, FaceTime. Yeah. So one of the first, I think it's the first physical one, she started saying, "Well, you're different." I'm like, "You have no idea."
Dude, can I push you on something? You've said the word when I was gone. You've used the word gone a couple of times. Is there something there, like gone as in, do you mean gone from your faith?
Society.
Gone from society? Do you mean like checked into rehab? Do you mean like
I was in prison.
Okay.
I was in prison for 6.5 years because of some stuff that I did that was my own fault.
I knew there was something there. It was
not financially related. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I could tell by the way you're.
I was literally in timeout.
Literally. Yeah, because you said a couple of times when I was gone from society, I'm like, what does he mean? Did he go to like a monastery? What's he talking about?
I froze myself for 6.5 years and just went to sleep. No.
And was it real? Was it real or was it not fair type of deal?
Oh, no, it was real. It was totally me. I confessed to my wife, said, "Hey, here's what I've been doing." She called the police, and I just sit there and curled up and sucked my thumb for as they arrested me pretty much.
Until they got there. Oh my God.
Yeah.
6.5.
No, it was totally me. Completely confessed. It was my fault. 100% accountable for it. No one to blame but my own. And I mean to see stupid decisions on my own part. I led myself down a path that I was gone.
Okay.
I was prideful. I didn't communicate. You know, I messed up. I hurt a lot. I have one victim, but I really hurt a lot of people with the way I acted. And then that right there just shook a lot of primary, secondary, tertiary, you know, victims as far as, you know, family, friends, businesses, neighborhood, church, people who don't know me. I mean, it's impactful.
Oh my gosh.
This is vulnerable talking about this. I mean, I talk about this with individuals a lot of times, but now I know there's going to be people listening to this who don't know me. So now I'm like, oh man.
Well, you know, you know, when we edit, we can always go back and cut it out if you want to. So, you know, I would encourage you to just feel free to share. And if you want something out of it, we can pick it out.
I'll run it by the partners and let them.
Yeah.
They all know. They all know about me.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, they have to. I'm sure you had to disclose everything. Is this why you don't have a relationship with your daughter?
It's exactly why I don't have a relationship with my daughter.
Okay.
Yeah. She
was
enough. 6 months old when I confessed, and then I went to prison and haven't seen her since. That was that was July 31st, 2013.
Okay. We'll move on.
And then I got out January 14th of 2020.
Can I ask one more question? We don't have to make the whole podcast about this. One more question on this deal.
Definitely.
I had a cousin that I thought was one of the toughest guys I'd ever been around. I mean, the dude was just super tough. He's kind of mean. He was rough, rugged, just built like a tank. Just one of those guys, you know, like when we were growing up, like if we ever got in a fight in the neighborhood, we'd always be like, hey, go get Ricky. You know, Ricky will take care of it. He was one of those guys. Anyway, he did some prison time later on when we grew up. And I remember visiting with him as a grown man. And I always thought of him, like I said, as a super tough guy.
Yeah.
And he told me, he's like, let me tell you something, man. He's like, prison is not a place you want to be. He's like, it is. He goes,
no.
Is it as bad? Is it as bad as people say?
You know, it's interesting. Yes and no.
Okay.
In a lot of places, it's not only as bad, but it's worse. There's a lot of things that people don't know about that goes on in prisons. And it's, like you said, it's a whole, the way that one of my cellmates explained it to me, he's like, Patrick, get rid of all the rules you've ever known in society. He said, this is not planet Earth. It's a whole other planet. You're going to have to learn a new set of rules, new game, and you're going to have to figure them out because they change as you go.
Man, your faith, because you originally, were you Mormon originally? Were your folks Mormon?
I was, yep. My parents are converts to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And even out of us kids, only a couple of us are members.
And how about now? Are you?
I am actually, my membership is withdrawn right now due to my charges, my circumstance, but I'm working through getting that back. I'm very active. I'm very participating. And I look forward to the day when I can be rebaptized and be back in it.
What, dude, you know, I really admire that. Like, wow, your spirit is so positive. You wouldn't, based on everything you've been through, like you could easily just be a disgruntled, angry, pissed off guy. Like you could just be one of those guys walking around. I hate the world. You know, life's not fair. You know, you know, all these things. You could easily be one of those guys. Meanwhile, you are one of the most positive, energetic finance and accounting executives I've ever met.
I'm going to tell you a couple of fun stories. First of all, thank you. That means a lot to me. I wasn't always this way. I have been for the most, you know, and I actually had a conversation with a buddy of mine whom I met in prison about that. But when I was in high school, I had a pretty good attitude, but not all the time. And so my dad, there again, my hero, would wake me up. I would go to early morning seminary. You know, it's Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, study, you know, scriptures and stuff. Because I lived back east, I'd get up and go at 6 a.m. I'd actually get there at 6 a.m. So I'd have to get up at like 4:30 to go. Wow. My dad would wake me up and I'd be like, I don't want to get out of bed. I'm, you know, angry and everything. And he'd be like, son, I want you to learn how to be happy. And here's how you do that. So you find something that's going to make you happy. Soccer practice, a date this weekend, driving your car to, whatever in a month. He said, I don't care when, what, where. He said, you just find it right now and you dwell on it until it brings a smile to your face. And he would tell me that every morning when I had a bad attitude. And he would drill that in me. And along with that, he'd say, smile. Because if nothing else, they'll wonder what you're up to.
Great advice. I love that. It's so good. Yeah, I really admire it, man. What a wonderful story. This is going to be a great podcast where here's somebody who, yeah, I mean, had been divorced twice, ended up, in a bad situation. You could easily have gone down the wrong path from that point forward and just turned into, a lifelong bad guy.
And I've seen friends do that.
And man, you're just like, hey, what you talking about? I just married my third wife, who's awesome. I'm reconciled with my son, working on my daughter. Yep. By the way, got a great job, working for a great company, working on my MBA. Working on my MBA. I mean, that's so awesome, bro. I mean, really,
I'm blessed. I am truly blessed.
Trying to get back into the church. I mean, good for you, man. I mean, really, that is cool. I didn't know any of that about you before the podcast. So, I already admired your resume before, but now I'm just like, wow, okay, now I'm even more impressed.
Well, thank you. Something that someone, actually two things that still impact who I am today. Those that come out, there's two types of people that come out of prison. Those that come out bitter and those that come out better. And I've chosen to be that second person. I mean, I worked my tail off. I read hundreds of books, studied all kinds of religions, studied all kinds of other things, even kept up with my studies, as far as school. I got my hands on every single accounting book, including that green one right there. I got that one from prison. Actually, I got 3 of those books while I was in there. No, 4 of them. The first 4 on the left. While I was in there, studied all that. I've got another couple, So I learned to, and someone else that said something made an impact. They said you can either spend time, waste time, do time, or invest time. And so I chose to invest my time.
That's another good one. Interesting that you came back to the religion you grew up with, having had a chance to study all kinds of it during that time, and probably
international religions too. Yeah.
Interesting that you came back to your roots on that and didn't end up following a different path. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, definitely. It's something that means a lot to me because of what I've learned. I mean, I became super duper. I've always been interested in other religions. Okay. Growing up in the Bible Belt, I've been to Catholic, Protestant, Presbyterian, Lutheran. I can't remember what else. I've been to every vacation Bible school you could think of and loved it. And so while I was in prison, learning about Muslim, Hinduism, Buddhism, all of that. And some of my best friends are atheists, and just having these conversations helped me to learn about, okay, who am I? Where do I come from? Why am I here? What do I want out of life? What's it going to take for me to get there? And how does all that become me? Man. And so that's why I've come back to, as you put it, the religion that I grew up in, because now I fully understand who my Heavenly Father is, who my Savior Jesus Christ is, why they exist, why I exist, and then how I can go back and live with them. And that means the world to me. And there's a lot of religions that really, in my thoughts, Steve, a lot of them believe very, very, very similar. They're almost all in line, just kind of different parallels.
Totally agree. Yep.
And so that just means to me, it's a choice. It's a choice that I make, and the more I make it, the more solidified I feel in it. And I can apply that to religion. I can apply that to marriage. I can apply that to business. It's all a choice. We have these choices, and choice is the most powerful thing that we have.
Why, over the last 40, 50 years, have we just drifted away from religion further and further and further and faster as a country? It seems like it just, maybe I'm not an expert on this, so the listeners can, jam me up with comments on this episode. But I think if you look up the stats, there are fewer and fewer and fewer people going to any kind of church or anything like that. And the social media push feels like it's pushing away from traditional, Christianity and religion. And, now it's not cool to do that or whatever. Why is that happening? What are your thoughts there?
I think it's a wonderful and very valid and deep, and I love this question. I was actually talking with my in-laws. We had dinner with them last night, and we had almost this exact conversation. It's something I think about quite a bit because my son, he's a great example. He's LGBTQ, and he doesn't believe in God. He's agnostic right now, and we have this conversation. So why? I feel like it's because, and I do not mean to offend anybody here, but this is my opinion, okay? Yeah. And whether it's right or wrong, it's mine. It's my choice.
Which you should be, which you should be able to express, by the way,
I will express it. Yeah, I will. I believe that a lot of people take the easy route. Okay, the easy route being, well, you know what? If something easier comes along, I'm going to take that route because it's the way out. Now, I'm not saying they do it because they want to have an easy life. Yeah. I'm saying they do it because it's easy to do and it fits what they think. For me, it's not easy to abide by my religion. It's not easy to believe in God. It's not easy to believe that Jesus Christ is my savior. It's very difficult because I don't see them. I don't hear their voice. I don't shake their hand and talk with them. So that's hard.
Plus, it's a lot easier to sin.
It is. Yeah. I can go drink, smoke, do whatever I want and have what I think are zero repercussions from it. However, with my beliefs, and this is where I believe that, Christianity as a whole or any of us, I believe that if we really understand I'm an accountant, okay? I love accountability. If we understand accountability and consequences, then that can really ground us. And I believe that that's what religion is based on. It's understanding consequences and where we grounded. I am grounded in my faith in God. I'm grounded in understanding where I fit in his life and where he fits in mine. That's not easy. And I feel like that's why a lot of other people drift away or do other things that become easier, because it allows them to do things that they feel removes accountability and consequences.
No,
I'm not judging anybody for that. I'm just saying that's my thoughts. I've been there, and that's why I can say that. I'm the guy that went to prison. Let's remember that.
Right.
So I can say that because I didn't feel that there were consequences. I did not ground myself.
Wow.
But this is how I learned all this.
Wow, that is interesting perspective, and I never thought of it that way. But yeah, that sounds right to me. It is kind of easier to not believe and not have any rules for yourself and not hold yourself accountable and all the rest of it. It is easier. Never thought of it that way. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Wow. I got to share that with my wife. She's going to think that's fascinating. Yeah. Cause we've talked about some of that stuff lately too. I grew up in Oklahoma, and my mom was full blown Pentecostal Assembly of God, and still is, by the way.
Nice. I've been there. I've been to AOG a couple of times. Yeah.
Every time I go home, she's trying to resave me.
Yeah.
So I get all of it. I appreciate you sharing that. Wow. What a blessing. Now, let me make sure I understand. When he's walking through the prison as a bishop to minister and witness and help people, which is a volunteer thing he's doing there, I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. He did not know that you were in that facility, and he just sees you.
Yep.
That is, talk about a higher power. I don't think that just happened by accident.
Exactly. And you ask, why do I come back to my religion? Any Christian religion can believe that, but that's
Yeah. Wow.
I believe in miracles.
And then for the partners to sign off on it, another huge, brave move on their part.
Exactly. They took a huge chance. Huge chance on me.
Wow. Do you get that job like right after you get out, or like, is it a year, 2 years? What's the time?
No, it took a few months to convince them.
Dude, what a story, man. This could almost be a movie. Seriously, somebody could make a TV show on this deal. Have you thought about writing a book?
I actually have. I've thought about just publishing my journal because I'm not my mom's a writer, but she can write my book. My wife could do it. My journal is like 1,200 pages long from
Oof.
prison. Actually,
Okay.
prison journal is 1,200 pages. I was in jail for 6.5 months before prison, and that's like another 600 some pages. And I'm just like, just publish my journal when I die. Just every single main strip or something. I
Yeah,
don't know. Maybe we
you know,
will someday.
I'm going to introduce you to the ghostwriter that we used for our book at
Okay,
Riderflex. We launched a book this last year from
cool.
the podcast episodes. I'm going to introduce you to a ghostwriter because I think you got a wonderful story. I love your personal story. I can see why they have you there, bro. I mean, not only are you smart, you're
Thank you.
experienced, your people skills, like I mentioned earlier, are exceptional. Bro, I can't tell you how many CFOs I've worked with. It's like, sometimes it's like talking to a tree trunk, like, come on.
Well, I love life, Steve. I really do. And I mean that. I love
And
life. I love working with people.
I think that's special. Yeah, you are a special breed for sure. What a story. I think you should write a book. I'm going to introduce you to my ghostwriter.
Please do.